welcome to another episode of Unrestricted Flavor. I'm your host, Mark Dirksing. Today I'm going to show you how to basically turn your loaf of sourdough bread that you make from your gluten-free or your King Arthur gluten-free bread dough, and we're going to turn it into a pretzel loaf. So we're going to use some very simple ingredients, some baking soda. I added chives to my dough just because I like the extra flavor. You definitely don't have to. And then some sea salt. So let's go ahead and get started. I already prepared my dough as the back of the package requested. And there we have it. So what we're going to do now is I have a pot of boiling water on the stove top. We're going to add some baking soda. Then we're going to give our sourdough loaf a bath. Before we give our dough a bath, we are going to put our Dutch oven in the oven without the lid, and then we are going to preheat it at 450. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, our bath is boiling. Our oven is preheated to 450, so we are set to give our loaf of bread a baking soda bath. All right, so we'll go ahead and take our dough as such and drop it in the hot water. As it's swimming around, we're going to go ahead and put some baking soda into the bath. And you basically, it'll have to warm up again a little bit. The coolness of the dough will bring the temp down, but it heats up pretty quickly. And so you basically want to give each side a bath for about 30 seconds to a minute. So we'll let this bathe for that time and then we'll flip it. And so some things that you might need, I always use some tongs and a spatula. And then I have a scoring knife ready so that I can make a nice little X imprint on my loaf before it cooks. And then my lid is over there ready to go because we do want to make sure that we put the lid on as we bake it. All right, we are about ready to flip. And there we go. And I will be back when we're ready to put it in our Dutch oven. All right. Our dough is ready to go in our Dutch oven. I'm going to go ahead and move the dough over from the bath into the Dutch oven. Then I'll use my scoring knife to give it a nice little X. And as it cooks, it'll open up and give it a nice little presentation. All right, and then when we finish with the scoring, we're going to take some sea salt and sprinkle it on top, and you can use as much or as little as you like. We're going to put the lid on, and then we are going to put it in the oven at 450 for about 45 minutes. I'll be back. All right, so from this point on, we are just following the instructions from the back of the packaging. So we're going to do 40 minutes At 450, we'll take it out, look at it. Usually I put it in with the lid off for another 10 minutes and then it'll be done. So I'll be back shortly. I was waiting for my pretzel loaf to cook. I forgot to tell you why I decided to come up with this idea. So about a month ago, I realized that I can no longer eat gluten-free pretzels out of the bag that I was so used to eating every night. And so I wasn't willing to give up the flavor of pretzels. So I learned how to make pretzels on my own. And then I realized that making it into a loaf kept them fresh longer. So I just cut up a couple slices for my snack at night and I'm good to go. All right, the timer just went off. Let's go check our pretzel bread. Alright, so we want it to brown up just a little bit more, so we're going to go ahead and take the lid off and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes. And I'll be right back. Alright, the pretzel loaf is ready to come out. And there we have it. A delicious pretzel loaf, ready to be eaten now and saved for later. You can also freeze this and just thaw it out in the microwave or just thaw it out at room temperature and eat it later. This has been another episode of Unrestricted Flavor. I'm your host, Mark Dirksing. Let's start feeling better together.